It's 2025, and you know what that means? Another stacked anime season is here. From romance, to action, to mystery, to fantasy, and long-awaited sequels, this season has it all. So let's dive in and see what amazing anime this season has to offer. So what exactly do we have this season? Oh yeah, that's exciting. That sounds weird but cool. Oh, a new anime by Mappa about a director that is under immense struggle and is overworked. I have to see this. Wait. Did I just get tricked into watching an isekai? Zenshu follows a director under immense pressure to create something that surpasses her previous success. Overwhelmed by despair, she tragically dies, and this isekai into a story she watched countless times before. In this new world, unlike her previous life, she's a nobody. No fame, no recognition, but she has something no one else does. Mappa really dropped the ball on this original. The animation is absolutely stunning, easily the best looking anime this season. But let's not forget, it's Mappa, and they don't exactly have a stellar track record with originals. There is also something really funny about how she died working as an animator, and someone had to come up with that, and multiple people had to animate that works for Mappa. That said, I'm still placing Zenshu in S tier, because I genuinely believe they cooked something special this time. Here we see the elusive tsundere in her natural habitat, a high school classroom. Notice her signature glare, the crossed arms, and the expertly executed. But what happens when this creature is forced into an unnatural environment? Like say, marriage with her sworn enemy? I'm Getting Married to a Girl I Hate in My Class is exactly what it sounds like. A romantic comedy about two classmates, Akane and Saito, who are forced to marry by their grandparents or risk losing something important. For Saito, it's his right to inherit his grandpa's company, and as for Akane, well, we are not exactly sure what's at stake for her, but it doesn't really matter. They are married now and living under the same roof. Watching it feels like stepping back into 2008. During that time, most anime, especially romance, were much simpler, and this anime captures that same vibe with its straightforward story and stereotypical characters. I had a lot of fun watching it. There is just something oddly addictive about it. You can't turn it off, even when the main characters are driving you crazy. Still, I can't help but feel like it might get really repetitive, and I'm not sure people care about this kind of anime nowadays. However, if you want to watch a romance that's a bit more serious, Honey Lemon Soda is here. One of the most, if not the most popular romance manga of this decade. It follows Uka, who has been bullied her entire life due to her extreme social anxiety. Now in high school and surrounded by real friends, she has a chance for a fresh start. It's a really simple romance, and I can already predict what direction it will take. Uka will focus on overcoming her social anxiety and improving her communication skills. On the other side, we have Kai, who I initially expected to be quite apathetic, but I was pleasantly surprised by how considerate he is toward others and his efforts to help them. I appreciate that he's not another stereotypical, emotionless guy. Whenever it's an anime like this, we always get a guy like that, and I understand the appeal, but it's nice to see something different. The animation and overall production quality are fantastic. I especially love the unique visualizations and camera angles. The director clearly put in a lot of effort to make it stand out from other generic romance anime. The only aspect I found a bit underwhelming was the character design. It's not bad by any means, it's just not my personal taste. I'm fairly convinced this will be one of the most successful anime of the year. As one of the most popular romance manga of the decade, it has received a remarkably well done adaptation so far. I would rank I'm Getting Married to a Girl I Hate in My Class a B tier. It's alright, really generic and quite outdated, but can be a pretty fun watch. Honey Lemon Soda is a solid S tier for me. The best romance anime of this season by far, with great directing and a pretty engaging story. Wait, I want to see that again. I may be a guild receptionist, but I will solo any boss to clock out on time is an anime focusing on Alina, a girl who lives a simple and happy life as a guild receptionist. However, her dream life quickly turns into an overtime nightmare, as adventurers fail to clear dungeons on their own. Tired of the chaos and desperate to get her life back, she decides to take matters into her own hand, solo defeating every single boss. She basically said,
"Fine. I'll do it myself."
I really enjoy fantasy anime because it's often so repetitive, with the same world and ideas. But Cloverworks has managed to bring us something fresh and genuinely enjoyable. Alina is a fun character to watch, whether she's lashing out at people for not leaving her alone or trying to avoid being recruited. She's basically the embodiment of... All those little moments make me actually want to watch a fantasy anime for the first time this decade. But if you are bored of traditional comedy fantasy, how about the Villainess comedy fantasy? From Bureaucrat to Villainess follows a 52-year-old dead who is suddenly reincarnated as the Villainess of an otome game. We all know how these kind of characters are supposed to act. Evil, disrespectful, and egoistical towards the heroine. However, not our main guy. He congratulates her on getting in, becomes friends with her, and even when he tries to act like a Villainess, he doesn't even come close. One thing I was incredibly impressed by is the animation. Like, look at this! That's clean! I think Ajiado is one of the most underrated studios of all time. Whatever they work on always looks fantastic. Well, I may be a guild receptionist, but I Will Solo Any Boss to Clock Out on Time is an A-tier anime. I really want to put it in S tier, but I just don't have enough faith in it yet. From Bureaucrat to Villainess started off quite boring, but it became really enjoyable in the second half. I really liked how we got the perspective of the dead, why he does certain things and acts a certain way, which was a really fun aspect. However, it's nothing unique, so I'd place it in a low A tier. I don't know why people think this anime is Dr. House reincarnated as an anime girl when it's clearly a Scooby-Doo reference. Dr. Detective is one of the most anticipated anime of this season, and I actually heard a lot of good things about it. The story follows Takao, an excellent doctor who prefers to act like a detective. Surprisingly, she's really good at it. The first 2 episodes cover a single mystery, and I found them incredibly enjoyable. I actually felt like I was part of the investigation with the chance to solve the mystery myself. The answers weren't just spoon-fed to me. The characters are well written, even if they lean a bit toward being stereotypical. Takao is an amazing lead, and I would compare her to someone like Mao Mao. Speaking of Mao Mao, this season is packed with sequels. We have the second season of the Apothecary Diaries. It was my favorite anime of last year. Mao Mao is one of my favorite characters of all time, and this is the anime I'm most excited about without a doubt. Plus, having an actual cat instantly bumps it up to an 11 out of 10 for me. But we also have other smart characters like Zenshu, returning with the 4th season of Dr. Stone. Toilet-bound Hanako-kun is also back with its 2nd season. It's kind of crazy that the first one aired 5 years ago. We got My Happy Marriage season 2. The first season was amazing. There is also the 100 Girlfriends season 2, which will probably be even more wild than the first. And finally, the most anticipated one for most people, the 2nd season of Solo Leveling. I will be honest, I'm not a huge fan of it, but damn, it looks amazing so far. Even Pictures is actually cooking. Have you ever watched an ice skating anime? Well, I have, and it was gay as hell. Also good as hell. But Mappa abandoned it and we will never get that damn movie. However, now we at least have Medalist, a surprisingly well animated story about Tsukasa, who takes on the responsibility of coaching a little girl and helping her make it to nationals. I was pleasantly surprised by how sweet and enjoyable this anime is. All the characters are likable, the story is a bit generic but still good enough, and the animation is more than solid. Obviously, it's nowhere near the level of what Yuri on Ice was able to deliver, but it's still good enough for me. Therefore, Medalist will go at the bottom of A tier. Also, before anyone comments on it, I'm not going to rank sequels. There is no point in putting them on the same list as new anime. I think though, it's time to talk about the big one now. Sakamoto Days is the most hyped new anime this season, but it's also the most controversial. The story is about Sakamoto, a retired hitman who left his old life behind after falling in love. Now he's a husband, a dad, and runs a convenience store. But leaving his past isn't as easy as it seems, and he has to face it again to protect his family. The story is pretty simple and straightforward, and the manga is super popular. So why is it controversial? well, fans aren't happy with how the anime looks. And it's not just Western fans feeling this way. Japanese fans seem even more upset. While I think some people are overreacting, the criticism does make sense. The manga looks amazing, especially the action scenes, so it's fair to expect the anime to match that. That said, I don't think it's as bad as people say. Like, you just can't say this scene, for example, looks bad. So I'd still call it a solid A tier. Now, you know, one of the most common types of anime we get every season is isekai. However, something unexpected happened last season. We didn't get a single one. But don't worry, because this time it's back with not 2, not 5, but 9 isekai this season. If you want to watch a knight reincarnated as a huge monster, well, Beheneko isn't that. It's about a knight reincarnated as a little kitty. But that's not even the best part of the anime. Apparently the cat gets actual armor later on. Or how about one where you have the classic overworked salaryman who unfortunately dies in the most mundane way, getting hit by a Opet? Now he's one of the 4 generals of the Demon King, but instead of fighting, he's working behind the scenes to help out. Then, there's possibly the greatest alchemist of all time, a classic isekai story. Our main character accidentally gets teleported along with other heroes, is granted a wish and chooses alchemy. Classic story, classic characters, and of course, what's more classic in isekai than slavery? Or how about an isekai where a middle-aged guy reincarnates and finally gets to learn magic like he always wanted to? Or how about an isekai where a middle-aged guy reincarnates and finally gets to learn magic like he always wanted to? Now wait a minute. Alright, ranking all of these is pretty easy. Listen, if you enjoy this type of anime, I respect that. But for me, not that ain't it. So now that we are done with you know, one of my favorite quotes is, even a broken clock is right twice a day. For every 1000 isekai where you're reincarnated as a random NPC who turns out to be super strong and totally not the same as all the others, you occasionally get one that actually tries to stand out. Welcome to Japan myself starts with our main character, Kazuhiro, who spends his day working and his nights living in an isekai, where he mainly visits his elf friend. One day, while inside a dungeon, they both die. However, while Kazuhiro returns to Japan, the elf returns with him. It's a really simple concept, but I love the idea. We get to explore a world we are familiar with through her eyes. Someone who's never experienced it before. It really reminds me of Uncle from Another World, but unlike the uncle who missed out on 20 years of new things, the elf has never seen any of it. It's so cute seeing her reactions. I would love to put this in S tier if it didn't have so much fan service. You know, I kind of grown out of that. Oh, not another reason. Wait. This season we got a cute little romance anime about a normal businessman and an otaku who defends him every night from evil demons to keep him from ending up in an isekai. It's a short 12-minute anime, but it was really fun. However, I was curious about what happened next, so I skipped ahead a bit into the second episode. And I'd like to recreate what happened. If you are looking for a genuine, normal adult romance, we also have I Have a Crush at Work. This anime skips the part most romance stories focus on, the getting together phase. Instead, we follow 2 characters who are already in a relationship from the start, but the twist is that they don't want anyone at work to find out. So they are trying to keep it a secret from their coworkers. Honestly, it's really enjoyable, easily A tier, even if the characters act a bit childish at times. On the other hand, I'm Living with an Otaku is more of a C tier for me. After what we both saw, I don't think I need to explain myself. Throughout the history of anime, there have been studios famous for certain things, like Kyoto Animation having better fight scenes in slice of life anime than most battle shonen, or Ufotable being known for its unlimited budget. However, it's not always because of something good. Studio Gohands is famous for its unique use of CGI and animation. The only problem is that no one likes it. But with their new anime this season, maybe something has changed. Nah, nothing has changed. Flower and Asura is the final anime of this season, and what a great one it is. It's rare to come across something so outstanding yet underappreciated. The story is simple. Hana loves reading to the island children, and Mizuki, noticing her talent, invites her to join the broadcasting club. After some convincing, she decides to join. What's outstanding about it isn't the story, it's the characters, the atmosphere, and the overall production. The characters feel alive, like real human beings. You can understand their emotions the moment you meet them, and you can genuinely relate to them. That's something anime rarely achieves, despite it being one of the most important elements. It's quite ironic, considering this was made by Studio Bind, a studio not typically known for creating anime you can comfortably watch with your family. The production is on another level. It's not just visually stunning, it's impeccably timed with great character expressions, stellar voice acting, and background music that enhances the experience rather than simply filling space. By far, this is my favorite anime of this season, and it's easily at the top of my list. That is all the anime for this season. Lot of not so great ones, but also some really well produced hidden gems that are definitely worth your time. If you want to see what anime we had last season, click on this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.